Hello, it's Krista, my stamp lady. I'm here with this Daisy Delight card. So this is made with the Daisy Delight stamp set that is on its way out. It is retiring. And the coordinating Daisy Punch. Now this is still going to be active. There is a Daisy Lane stamp set that does coordinate with that, but I wanted to show you some of the features of this particular stamp set and how to make a fairly simple card. So I have the Daisy Delight. I'm also using a sentiment from the Here's a Card stamp set. I have all of my paper sizes and the supplies I used over at my blog at mystamplady.com. So to start with, I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp this Daisy with Daffodil Delight card. I'm going to place a Stampin' Pierce pad underneath here because if you have a little bit of foam underneath with the photopolymer stamps, you get a better image. You can also use something like a fun foam or a mouse pad. Just get a little bit of a foam layer under there. Now, one of the tricks with this Daisy Punch is if you line it up with the Daisy petal going straight down, it's going to be easy to punch out. It will line up nicely with your punch. I'm using a piece of a Post-it note to hold my paper because it's a little bit too short for me to work in, so I made just basically a handle to hold that. And then I'll punch that out. I've already stamped and punched another one, so I will just layer those. I'm going to rotate it. This gives me a little more thickness or a little bit more fullness to my flower. So let's put that down there. And there's my Daisy. I love it. You could even curl up your petals if you want. So I really like that Daisy. So now I'm going to move on to my background, and I did cut my background a little bit smaller than I usually do. I want a little more frame around it, so I made my piece a little smaller. This stamp set has pieces that coordinate. So these flowers go onto this stem, and this image layers onto that stem. So first of all, I'm going to stamp in Pear Pizzazz. I am stamping the taller stem. I'm going to do this just across, not all the way, not quite all the way across, but pretty much across the front of my cardstock. With Seaside Spray, I have the flowers that line up with my background. I'm going to stamp those. So if you line up the flowers on the top and the bottom, then they'll line up with the little stem spots. So I've gone ahead and stamped all those Seaside Spray stems, and now I am just going to go in and stamp a few of those to fill in my backgrounds. Here, my background. And I actually did the top of this one. It also has the coordinating stamps, but I'm just doing it in Pear Pizzazz. Also, you could do it a different color, but I'm just lining it up in the same color. I have the background done. I've got my greenery and my blue flowers in there, my Seaside Spray flowers. With Rich Razzleberry, I'm going to stamp that sentiment from Here's a Card, and it's just the Here's You Made My Day. So we'll just tuck that in up there at the top. I have a length of the burlap ribbon here. Now I'm going to place that down just right across the front here. Let's layer this right onto a Rich Razzleberry cardstock mat. I like the cardstock mat because it pops out, it pulls out that sentiment that I put on there. I'm using the thick Whisper White for my background, for my cardstock base, and I've put some dimensionals on the back here just to pop that up to give it a little bit of lift. The leaf also does have two pieces. I will stamp it at full strength with Pear Pizzazz, and then the solid, more set piece to fill it in, I'm going to stamp that off on my scratch paper, line it up so I have a lighter leaf, and there I have a leaf that has some color into it, and I have actually fussy cut these out with scissors. So I did two ahead of time because I want to put those on the bottom of my flower. So I've got some mini glue dots. I'm just going to place those kind of sticking out to the side. With a couple of the mini dimensionals, I'm going to pop this up so it's sitting nicely over that burlap ribbon. It's a fairly simple card with quite a bit of white space, but I just really love it. Before I put down that center, I'm going to take the clear Wink of Stella and I'm going to just add a little bit of shimmer to my petals. It's hard to see that shimmer on the camera, but in real life it adds a really nice soft shimmer to that and kind of pops that out a bit more. This is a Perennial Essence Floral Center, but it works really well with the daisy also. It gives a nice bit of realism to the flower, and it is a nice center for that. I decided when I got to this point that I wanted just a bit more sparkle, and so I just used some of the rhinestones to just kind of draw your eye up and around and add a bit to my card front. I like adding the rhinestones. I think it carries the eye up and around the card front just a bit more. And now I have a bright card, a fairly simple card that has a lot of white space to send off to somebody. And right now it's really nice to receive some of these bright cards in the mail. If you'd like the video, I would love a thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss any more of my cards.